Hello, dear friends. Here we are, Harvest of Light. That's the book, Ceifa de Luz in Portuguese, in English, Harvest of Light. This book is a prayer of light, for light, right? Emmanuel begins the book with the very preface, prayer for light, and even asking for God for the elevation of our thoughts, which is unique, telling us that when we are not able to think straight, when we are not able to think clearly, when we're not able to think positively, what should we do? Ask for God's help. Why? Why? Because God is the sustainer of the life. I think one of the biggest mistakes we make in society is to treat God as the creator. He's much more than the creator. He is the sustainer of our lives. And that makes a huge difference. Because usually people feel, oh yeah, that's something that happened in the past. No. It happens as we speak. Right now we are breathing, we are existing, whether in the physical body, whether in the spiritual body, because God is sustaining our lives. So today, we're going to be studying chapter 17. We've been studying chapters that are really unique. For most of us, we feel like leading our lives without any reverence to God. And that's very surprising because we are already in century 21, 21st century. And people insist to be like the prodigal children, deciding to do what they like instead of calibrating themselves to God. For us, we're given an opportunity of being together in this 11 p.m. Spirit Center, connecting friends from around the world, live and on demand. Shall we, friends? I see wonderful friends coming in. And if you're listening to this on demand, you're included as well. So today is about humility. The previous chapter, Emmanuel was talking about freedom. And he said to us that we should learn how to observe and fulfill our duties in order to be free. Because we are imprisoned when we follow our passions, and then we feel guilty, and then we are in the jail of the self. Tonight, we're studying humility. Sometimes it's tough, we feel guilty, we feel this, that, and the other, but humility may solve all of our problems. Wanna try it? Yes? Welcome, friends, about humility. That's chapter 17. Emmanuel quotes from James chapter 1, verse 17. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. Thank God. God doesn't change. He's immutable. It's in the first chapter of the book, The Spirit's Book by Allan Kardec. Right? What does Emmanuel say about it all? Remember, Emmanuel learned so much from a very proud, selfish, in his own words, egotistic senator 2,000 years ago. He became a humble servant. He then says to us, after all, what do we have that we do not owe to God? Whoa. He begins with an assessment question. What do we have that we do not owe to God. The very life we have is so great and so complex that only madness or ignorance does not recognize divine wisdom in its foundations. For the consideration, it is sufficient for the individual to reflect on the undeniable usufruct that they use to mobilize the good that enriches them in the world. The body that serves as a transient dwelling is a donation of the higher powers through the genetic sanctuary of the individuals. Family members are appointed as support by loan. Intelligence is conditioned to certain factors of expression. The air you breathe is everyone's heritage. The achievements of science upon which progress is based are correct but provisional achievements, since they grow considerably from century to century. Its work elements are changeable from time to time. Physical health is a gift on a lending basis. Fortune is a precarious title. Authority is an obviously transferable competence delegation. Friends are changeable in the unceasing exchange of positions by which they are often called to service, according to the guidelines that the principles of improvement or evolution indicate to them. The adversaries themselves, to whom we owe precious warnings, are replaced periodically. The most beloved objects of personal use pass from hand to hand. In any plane or condition of existence, we are subordinated to the law of renewal. In view of this, whenever we see ourselves inclined to feel vanity about something, let us remember that we find ourselves inextricably bound up with the life of God, which for the benefit of our own life can still today rearticulate, recast, remake, or modify it all. Ouch! Beautiful, but truthful. Emmanuel is telling us in an assessment question, what do we have that we do not owe to God? And I hear people saying, oh, not now, no, God, no, not now, no, 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 no. Not now, but when and where God is not. God is everywhere at all times. How can I separate my life from God? I'm breathing. God is giving me this opportunity. I exist. God is giving me this opportunity. I don't know where I push a button. Where should I push a button to stop existing? Existing. Not in the flesh, just simply existing as spirit. I don't know. I don't think there's a button for me to push. It's not on me. Even those who commit suicide, they find out there's no end. How important is this realization? That's humility. You see, Emmanuel, in no part of this message, what is interesting here is to observe this. He talks about humility, but he doesn't even mention the word humility throughout the text. So the text is the definition of humility. The whole text, this article, this chapter, summarizes what humility is all about. Because usually we don't know what humility is. We think humility is to be, I don't know. There are so many definitions people give. Misconceptions. When people see somebody who is confident, they often mistaken that person by somebody who lacks humility. And that's not true. You think Jesus was not confident? Of course he was. Do you think he was not determined? Of course he was. Do you think he wouldn't walk standing up tall? He would, but not in arrogance, but in love. Tall in love, not arrogance. What is humility then? It's this full awareness that we are who we are. We experience what we experience because God gives us the opportunity. And as such, I am fully aware, and you too, that at any moment everything can change. That is humility. So there is no reason for me to brag about myself. There is no reason for me to think that I'm going to be the king of the hill for the rest of life. It's such a delusional approach in life, which happens often. Sometimes people have temporary power positions and they think it's gonna last eternity. At any moment, God can change that game. And God does. Do you remember when, and I'm gonna say this just as an example, when Bin Laden, the leader of terrorism, that's what they said so, used to be the greatest threat of all, where is he now? Not here, right? So there is this illusion that when we acquire things, they're gonna last. Immortality. And what does last to immortality but our connection with God? Our relationship with God. Emmanuel says, our lives are so great and complex that only madness or ignorance does not recognize divine wisdom in its foundation. So when we see somebody who does not accept God as center stage in their lives, it's either madness or ignorance. Only God knows what happened to them, so they changed their minds or fell their way. So he says, the body is something that God gives to us, a sanctuary, donation of the higher powers. How are we taking care of this body, Mamma Mia? How are we taking care of this body? We need to be loving and kind and appreciative, because this is not us. This is with us. This is with us. So we should be appreciative and saying, oh my, thank you, cells. Like we're saying to a pet, the most adorable pet of all times, this, our body. You may have a cat, you may have a dog, but your body is the best and most loyal pet of all times. How are we treating the body? We need to care for it. You know that discarnate spirits who don't like us, they don't want us to take care of our physical body. And you know why? Because the physical body is an opportunity for us to redeem ourselves. And they don't want it. They don't like it. So they incite us to pursue our passions. Go read questions 121 and 122 in the Spirit's book by Kardec. Kardec mentions to us that we will only stop being influenced by these environmental influences, which is the low order spirit's influence, when we gain self-control. So people are right when they say, oh my gosh, I don't know what happened. I was on a diet and suddenly I got off of the diet. Somebody brought ice cream and I just fell for it. You're right. Until we gain self-control, we won't be able to be teased by the environmental influences, incarnates and discarnates. So where do you think you are regarding it? Where's our self-control? We need to push and push and push and push and push and say, when things are hard for us to control in ourselves, I tell myself, I can do it, I can do it, I can do it. I have a guardian angel who is helping me. I can do it. Have you ever visualized yourself? What you want to be? What you want to become? How are we going to achieve it if we don't visualize it? So the relationship with the body is happening due to the gift of God. Then family members are also concessions by God. There are people who don't have them. Look at the children who are separated at the border of the United States. Huh? Today I talked to a friend at the Spirit Side of Virginia, and I've got to know. They go to schools. Their parents were deported. There's no track, no way to track these parents and match them with certain children. They are simply separated, no records. These children are here and the government doesn't know what to do. That is brutal cruelty. 21st century, I'm so sorry, but that's cruel. And these children lost their families. 1-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 5-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 10-year-olds. I cannot imagine what it is to be at the mercy of people who care less about us. This is not a political statement. It's a human rights statement. It's a human rights statement. If we spiritists are afraid of speaking up, we do not deserve this doctrine that teaches us courage. It's about human rights. And we need to be aware, wherever we are, that we need to push and value circumstances when they are in our hands. He says that intelligence is also conditioned to certain factors of expression, meaning intelligence is given according to the need of our experiences, but it comes from God, the supreme intelligence. I didn't create intelligence. We're co-creators, right? In that, intelligence is not. So when people are too proud of their genius mind, they forget that it comes from God. And then the air we breathe, the achievements in science, they change often and they are constantly being transformed, right? When people thought that the earth was the center and the sun was surrounding it, and then we found out that it's the reverse. Year after year, Pluto is in the solar system. Then the next year he's not. And then he's back again in the solar system. And then he's not. And then science used to think we don't grow new neurons when we age. Now science agrees that we grew new ones. For example, yesterday, new science was released in the most reputable scientific paper, The Lancet, about eating low carbs. Now they are saying if you don't eat a minimum amount of carbohydrates, you may be at risk of dying 7 years before you're supposed to, if you were eating healthy. Of course, the extreme is not good either. Eating too much carbs, like 70% of your diet being carbs, is not good for the health. But only eating animal protein is not good. So what do they say? Instead of eating too much animal protein, we should be eating plant-based protein to balance it out and catch up on the years of longevity. So it can be low carb as long as it's not too much protein from meat. So science is changing it all the time. Why? Because we're progressing. We thought it was one way, and then we keep discovering it's not exactly that way, because scientific protocols, they transform, they change. And what does that mean to us? That in those changes, we humble ourselves, right? We humble ourselves. Physical health is a gift. Mamma mia. And there are people who feel, I remember, there was a girl whom I knew. She had several siblings, but she was the only one who would on and off be sick. And the other siblings would proudly state like, you always get sick and we're always great, blah, 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 blah. And one day, 2 of the siblings got very sick. And then one of them was devastated, was like, why is this happening to me? What is happening to my system? Do I have a spoiled system? His vanity was such that when he was humbled by disease, he couldn't handle it. So we need to learn how to handle the gifts of God, knowing that they are not coming from us. So vanity is displaced, dissolved in the waters of humility, right? Lívia Moraes is saying, I cannot find news adorning that parents were departed from their children. It only says they may have been separated from their children. I also saw one talking about reunion of parents and children. I mean, you know, Lívia, about the separation, we have teachers in schools who have children who are separated, and they know them personally. And these are their stories. I have several friends who teach, and they tell me about the stories of their very students. It's sad, but it is true. Okay? Fortune is a precarious title. And there are many people who think, many people who engage in drug dealing, thinking that to be rich is the ultimate thing. So I'm not going to waste my time taking the right path. I'm taking shortcuts so I can achieve that level. But they forget that it comes and goes, comes and goes. Authority is also transferable. Look at human organizations. Today, this person is here commanding. Tomorrow, there's somebody else. Why am I going to be proud of it if tomorrow it's going to change? But authority also happens at home. Parents and children. That's where it all begins. Often parents abuse their authority, and they don't know how to handle when they are treated in a different way. When children become older and the relationship changes, and it's supposed to change the dynamics of our relationship with our children. Like André Lewis says in the book Evolution in Two Worlds, we see the changes that happen. And when we are just created as spiritual principles, the type of spirits that are taking care of those spiritual principles, they are of a certain order. And then when we come closer to the human kingdom, they become guides, tutors. So from engineers, celestial architects, etc., it becomes tutors, guides, guardian angels, etc. It's in the book Evolution in Two Worlds. There are 12 different categories of illuminated spirits that take care of us from when we were created to the moment we get to be human beings. 12 different types of spirits. So why do parents have the illusion that when they are raising a kid, they're gonna be the same parent from the day they were born to the day they get married? And that's when we fail, because we don't change our rapport. And then the baby is there not speaking, and they're like, oh, so cute. And then they start speaking, they don't speak what we like, and we're like, oh my gosh, that's a mess. They start, oh my gosh, that's too much. And then they become teenagers, we're like, is the problem in the teenagers? I don't think so. The problem's in the adult world that doesn't know how to handle it. They don't know how to handle. They don't know how to manage. They don't know how to approach. They want to be the same authority, the same style from babyhood to young adulthood. It's not going to work. So we need to change it. Friends are changeable. They're changeable in the unceasing exchange of positions by which they are often called to service, according to the guidelines that the principles of environment of evolution indicate to them. Friends change, they move, they change in our lives. We used to have friends who used to go to a movie theater, and then we got married, and then we have new friends, etc., etc., right? Lívia Moraes, don't worry, I'll put you in touch with this friend of mine so you can talk to her, okay? Chris Anastasia is saying there is a joke that says we spend the first 2 years being told to speak and the 16 be told to be quiet. Love it, Chris Anastasia, so wise. What a joke, but it's real. I agree with you. And then Teresa Castro, Evolution into Worlds. Can this 11 p.m. Spiritual Center study this book? I am crossing my fingers for when Mentor Joseph is going to give us green light. Okay, Teresa? I am crossing my fingers. I hope it's going to come soon. I've done the study of this book twice, in 2012 at the SSB and at the SSPA. Simultaneously, and it was wonderful. So the whole book is in our hands, and I am crossing my fingers that this book is going to be next, because I have a whole set of slides, and if we do this in the 11 p.m., we're going to do it with our virtual studio where I can share the screen and you can see the slides. So it's going to be more like a webinar type of course, okay? It's heavy. It's intense. Hopefully it's gonna serve a purpose at 11 p.m. Right? Right, Amanda Andrade. Our spirit guide. Okay? Our adversaries themselves are replaced periodically. Isn't that true? Mamma mia, thank you, Emmanuel, for letting us know. But we owe precious warnings. To whom we owe precious warnings, yeah? Because they tell us things and we keep meditating. How we can change it, things in us so we don't come across being misunderstood that often. Right, Rudy? The most beloved objects of personal use pass from hand to hand. Big question for tonight. Are you ready for these changes? Are you ready for this transformation? All different levels of transformation. Usually, we're so attached that when God asks us to change anything, we are like almost without a breath, right? We need to catch a breath and say, yes, Lord, I believe you know better. If you think the comfort zone is not good for me, I'm gonna learn. Pray for light. God, please help me accept the benefits of this change. And I'll tell you something in an analogy. I remember when I used to do some types of experiments with animals, and we were very loving and kind. And when we were exchanging their cages in the scientific environment, from a dirty cage to a clean cage, they couldn't understand what we were doing. So when we were holding them up and transferring them in between the cages, they would like be desperate, thinking, oh my gosh, I have to save my life, until they found a new cage and like, oh, that's comfortable. Oh, it's clean. Wow, new food, new water, fresh water. Ooh. And then they rejoice just like us. In between, when we are in the transition, we're just alike. What can we do to change? To be more human, less animal. Be more human. What is to be more human? Boosting the prefrontal cortex, boosting the discernment, boosting this area. How? By using our reasoning. Think about your change. Seek the good in the change. That is how we're going to be less afraid, because fear is something that happens in the lower areas of our brain. They are subcortical. When we use our cortical input, then it's as if we have a leash and we're taming our fears, taming them. So we need to think, reflect, seek the good. That is something that only humans can do. And that's what it is to be a human being. We are learning to be humans. Often people think on earth that we are here to be angels. No, no, no. Before becoming angels, we need to be humans. It's just like Virginia sometimes. She's like, oh, I'm almost a teenager, Mom. And I said, yeah, but you need to be a kindergartner first. But I'm almost a teenager. She's excited about being a teenager. And I said, great, good for you, but it's still like 10 years away or a little less, but hold on. And sometimes that's how we feel. We want to be angels. No, 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 you don't want to be angel. You want to be human. And what is to be human? To reason our lives. To use our free will with wisdom. This is what human being is all about. To be angel, I don't know what it is. None of these books teach us to be angel. These books are not being angels. These books are about being human. So much so that in the book Living Spring by Emmanuel, there is one chapter, Real Humanity. And he talks about Jesus. And he says that Jesus came to teach us to be humans. So how about taking a course on this? Today we were at the Spirit Side of Virginia with friends who are here. John DeRose, Raquel Leong did beautiful, mindful cleaning. We talked with one another, but we were so focused. It was beautiful work, cleaning the center. We prayed, cleaned the center, prayed again. It was beautiful. But in the lesson we read, Emmanuel was saying about the science of inner growth. Wow. So there is a science about it, and that's what Spiritism is all about. A science of inner growth. So we're learning to be human, and humility is not angelic, it's human. We need to learn how to be human. Our guiding model, Jesus, is a guiding model of humanity, of being humankind, like what it is to be human. A guiding model for humanity, about humankind, what it is to be human. And that's what you and I are doing here today. Practicing this reasoning on what it is to be human. Humility is a big part of it. Paulo Andrade is saying this idea of humility and change reminds me of the Hinduist philosophy of detachment from sadness and happiness in excess, because no happiness or sadness lasts forever. It's impactful, but it made me wonder how attached we are to things in life. Thank you, Paula. What a beautiful observation. Thank you for sharing this. And I agree. Buddhism says the same. We need to cherish our impermanence, but we don't. How do we cherish impermanence? So let's do an exercise for the next 24 hours, because that's an exercise of humility, huh? I'm not in control. I know things are going to change. So in the next 24 hours, how about if we together practice this impermanence? If we are eating, we eat knowing we bless the food, but knowing that there must be moderation. If we're joyful, instead of going wild, we learn contentment. If we're sad, we don't dive into desperation or depression, because we know that it's going to pass. And in everything we say what Mother Mary taught us. This shall pass. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. This too, it's almost like samba. This too shall pass. This too shall pass. This we could even create the lyrics for a song like, this too shall pass. This too shall pass. Let us feel this. It shall pass. It shall pass. Anything and everything. I look at my loved one sleep and I say, wow, it could be their last breath. Am I ready? Joana de Angelis says we should practice that thought about ourselves. What if today I'm looking at myself in the mirror, it's going to be the last day? Am I ready? Oh my gosh, people are not going to find my passwords. They're not going to know what. And then it's a mess. I have to organize myself to keep everything ready, because if it's the last day, I'm not going to give problem to anybody. At least. That today, please donate my computer to this. Donate my books to that. Give my body, and then you tell what you want to do with your body. And you ask all your loved ones how they want their life to be, the physical body to be disposed of, and I say this kindly, okay? Recycled back. In which manner, right? And it's about jobs, positions, beauty, friends. Sometimes we have friends, they're here, they're here, they're here, they're here. Something changes in their lives and we're like, oh my gosh, how am I going to survive without them? So the contentment of being with one another without the excess. Thank you, Paula. Right? Wagner Jr. saying, I'm not ready to live without my parents. And that's okay, Wagner. Let's prepare ourselves. There is a beautiful message, Wagner, by Humberto de Campos, Brother X, titled Preparation for Death. It's beautiful, it's straightforward. There is even a program at Kardec Reading in which we talk about it. this preparation. So let us cherish this impermanence and see how life is going to be lighter, easier, because instead of dragging ourselves through life, we're going to be freer. You see, freedom, humility. Humility frees us. Beautiful Wagner. So that's why Emmanuel talking about humility. And this, you know, to write an article like this, it takes a genius mind. Because he titles it humility, doesn't even mention the word humility, and everything is about humility. Unbelievable. He finalizes, in any plane or condition of existence, we're subordinated to the law of renewal, like the seasons of the year. In view of this, whenever we see ourselves inclined to feel vanity about something, let us remember that we find ourselves inextricably bound up with the life of God, which for the benefit of our own life can still today re-articulate, recast, remake, or modify it all. Thank you, Emmanuel. How beautiful. How are you feeling? How are you feeling? Because Jesus said we need to feel the scriptures. How are you feeling? Freer? More humbled? Yes, that's good. Yes, that's good. That's the goal. Emmanuel is helping us, saying, okay, so I'm not going to go desperate when circumstances are odd, because that too shall pass. So let us practice this impermanence in the next 24 hours, observing how things will change. Shall we? As Silvio Ted is saying, life does not change when our parents make the pass into the spiritual world and you get to visit them when you are asleep. Exactly. Friends, breathe in and out and let us tell ourselves, I am bound up to God and I feel secure, I feel safe, I feel loved. I trust that God guides me, leads me, invites me, and I accept with ease. I accept the invitation with ease. What a feeling, right? Let us practice this feeling of impermanence so we can live a better life, humbling ourselves to the designs of God, and seeing how good it is to sit in the co-pilot seat, knowing that the pilot is never going to abandon us, never going to disappear, is always going to be there. So life is good, 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 good. Tomorrow, God willing, we come back to talk about the future. Emmanuel is genius in the sequence of these chapters. Now we're talking about the future. But Vanessa, what's going to happen next? I don't know, but God knows. He's the pilot. So ask the pilot, what's going to happen next? He may reveal. Oh, you bet. Prophecies exist. He reveals through the good spirits in our lives. And just as a teaser, 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 teaser. I think you're going to love this. He quotes from Mark 16:15, go into all the world and preach the gospel to everyone. And he says, let us therefore be attentive in the construction of the Spiritist teachings regarding the principles of Jesus. And he says at the end of it all, one by one, all the creatures of the earth will approach the school of love and of truth in order to find real happiness. Can you believe it? Everyone will. Even the most criminal ones. Are you ready? Feeling confident, Paula? Thank you. Rejuvenating sunshine. Beautiful friends. I feel even better when I read your comments because you put in words what we're feeling. Right, friends? And this is the impact of our group study here. So let us cherish this feeling of impermanence and know that our connection is boundless. Just to wrap up in a high tone, huh? This past week, Lea Severo, our dear friend Lea Severo, was in Brazil, fulfilling her promise to help put together, catalog the whole library that you guys helped bring it to Brazil, to the Centenary Spiritist Center of Itobi, which is coordinated by our family. And you can watch in my Facebook page, Vanessa Anceloni, the clip on it. So you see almost like 900 or even more books that they have there, thanks to the generosity of many of you who are here with us at Kardec Radio. We're very joyful, and we'll keep you posted on the development of the library. There are a few steps to be completed, and we're very, very happy with the outcome and very grateful to Lea Severo, to my mother who was there all the time, my grandmother, and other friends and family who were working for several days in a row to make it happen, thanks to your generosity. So the book you sent is there, and you can watch it in the new disposition of the library. Rejoice, friends, because the good is really good. A kiss and a hug and lots of joy and a lot of impermanence. Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, friends.